Live from the Century 21 Showtime studio in LaSalle, Ontario. You're listening to the Nick and Joe Show, where we talk about the people, places, and faces of our community. It's showtime.
What a great introduction. I love it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Nick and Joe Show. I got my old man, Joe, right next to me here. Dad, why don't you introduce our guest for the day?
All right. And before we introduce our great guests here, Nick, you forgot the actual opening. It's about places, faces, and people in our community. Like, get with the program here. All right. So anyways, we got a great guest here. Always as our co-host, Charlie Hotham from Hotham Building Materials. Charlie, welcome as always.
Thank you, Joe.
And
Thank
today,
you, Nick.
The three of us have met this gentleman we have with us. You know, people call him the mayor. People call him Mark. People call him Mr. Bondy. But he's a man of many faces in many places in LaSalle, and of course, but he's still the man, Mr. Mark Mayor Bondy. Welcome to our podcast at the Showtime podcast studio in LaSalle.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. I looked at the prior guest and I thought, wow, I made the short list.
But welcome, Mark, and thank you for attending. I know that your schedule has been pretty busy running both an insurance company. Well, the kids are running the insurance company, but you know, and of course being the mayor of LaSalle. And I just want to let you know I'm a resident of LaSalle, and I absolutely love everything about LaSalle, the people, the services that are being provided, and so forth. And you know, we have a lot to offer. But here we are today. I'm sure that there's been some challenges in a COVID time. Is there a different way of doing business today at City Hall, or still everything is normal?
Normal can be looked at in different ways, but I would say the status quo we're operating, especially within the municipal building, where we differ is, for example, the Volmer. When we're offering culture and rec, it's not the same. We just reopened it. The pool was shut down due to maintenance and a major repair. The ice pads are opening, or are open and running. The problem is the players and parents can't come in until 50
Correct.
minutes prior, and they have to change and so on. So it's different. It takes some adapting from everyone and patience, because things are not the same. The old man's hockey team, old timers, I used to play on, they're not playing this year at Sunday night. So things are different. But from an operational point of view, now that we're operating, things are doing really well. We have a great team at administration. Safety is priority one. And because of that, maybe we didn't make a decision as quick as we wanted to in the beginning, but we wanted to err on the side of caution.
Correct.
So right now, hats off to our team. They're doing great. And I think as of today, no one in our municipal workforce has tested positive.
Awesome.
So, good news.
Awesome. Mark, do you allow in the arena, are there grandparents allowed to go watch? Are there fans allowed to go to see any of the kids play hockey, or is that off limits?
The arrangement, I believe, is if you have a coach as a parent, they might allow the mother to go, or a grandfather. I went in twice to see my grandson, and I was considered the guardian because my son was a coach. I just went in one day and that was it. So I'm not trying to, could I use the mayor card and say I'm just going in to do an inspection? I don't do that. I respect what everybody else has to do, and just because I have the title of the mayor doesn't give me privileges that everybody else doesn't have, and I don't want to abuse that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you find people, just because you guys are open now and the facilities are available, are people, knocking down the door to get back to normalcy in regards of, taking part of the programs? Or do you find the society is still scared and resistant towards coming back?
I think it's twofold, Nick, because we have people who found a different way to communicate with the municipality, whether by email or phone, where they used to come in. And now maybe they're just taking a second thought. Same thing with banking. You go to the bank and they're saying we're slow because I'll say older generation are now doing online that they were forced to. And now they're saying, hey, this is easier. I can update my bank account by just going online. So the normal, we're not seeing an increase in traffic. There's a small amount of people that have to come in. For example, you need a building permit. You have to sign it. You come in, but they're doing a lot of pre-application on the phone. So it's the traffic is minimal. It's increased a bit because of the library that's attached. So in the common areas, there's a little bit more, but we have security there, and they make sure you have the mask or wash your hands, etc.
What does town council look like as far as the meeting taking place? Are you allowing delegations? Are you allowing public into your city council meetings?
No, by way of live meetings. They're all done on Zoom. Myself, the CAO, the clerk, we meet at our council chambers, but everybody else Zooms in. And delegations have commenced in that they Zoom in. And we're trying to open up the chambers in a safe manner. We can social distance, set up arrangements where if Nick comes in to make a presentation, he gets his 5 minutes and then questions. He would leave, then somebody else would come in. So that hasn't started yet. We're looking at this month sometime to start opening the delegations.
Now, Mark, a lot of businesses today and corporations, of course, have changed their way of doing business, just like you have, just like we have, and so forth. Do you think through the municipalities that eventually some of this will become the norm of doing business as we see, businesses shrinking their rent space and stuff like that? There's rumors that Green Shield in Windsor, they're offering their employees the opportunity of staying home because productivity has increased, and we're hearing a lot of that in many aspects of business where there were buildings holding a lot of people, where now industries have adapted that they don't need as big of a space. Do you see municipalities maybe taking advantage some way, somehow, in that same trend that's happening?
Partially.
Okay.
We've discussed it, the CAO. He's looking at some of the staff could possibly work from home, but it's minimal because there's a lot of touching, or Nick has to do something and give it to Joe, and Joe hands it over to Charlie, and it can't just be done virtually. You have to be there. Sometimes it's just a simple, I don't want to say what's your thought on that, but you have to have a meeting. And there's a minimal amount of staff that could work from home, but I'm going to say maybe 2 to 3, possibly 5. So I can't see that happening. I know at our office we have 3 working virtually, and they probably will stay that way. It's working out well. They don't have to come in. So I think it depends on the business, what you can do. But at the municipality, we don't see a big number working from home.
Yeah, I think it depends on definitely your role. I mean, I look at even just, with the marketing department here, right? I could do obviously my job where we always work from different parts of the city and home for, whatever, right? It's not necessarily based out of an office, but I find I do have a huge benefit working in office, even as a realtor, because I have access to the marketing department. I can quickly ask them a question, have them help me with a quick problem or whatever, right? So I mean, I could definitely see the benefit of both working from home versus also working in the office. Both have their pros and cons for sure. So it's definitely a learning curve for everybody in every career, every department.
Yes.
Mark, I want to kind of change speeds a little bit.
Sure.
I had a short career as a politician myself many moons ago. What made Mark Bondy decide to get involved with town politics? I mean, you have a successful insurance company in the town, Your family has been in LaSalle for many, many years and is a well-respected family. What drove Mark to the point of putting himself out there in the public eye to run for town
Can
council?
I answer that for a second? What a dumb question. The Bondy name is like royalty in LaSalle. Okay, this is the Bondy family. Every third person in LaSalle is Bondy. Go ahead.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, royalty, I don't think so, but I'm fourth generation. If you go back, we came from France in 1600, but to answer your question, Charlie, my brother-in-law, Vince Marcotte, is married to the oldest girl. There's 4 girls in the DeRoche family. He married Barb. I married the youngest, Mary Beth. And we always talked at get-togethers and say, Vince, he says, Mark, you have a gift. You should share it. And I said, okay. What's your downfall being in politics? He said, not home for the kids. I said, okay. So I made a decision that when my daughter, she's the baby, turned 16 and she could drive, I would try politics. So I ran, successfully got elected as a councillor, then went to deputy mayor, now the mayor, and it's very fulfilling to help people. And it's just a matter of, people say you're a politician. I don't view that. I think you're an MP, you're an MPP, you're a politician. To me, I'm just Mark Bondy, lived in LaSalle my whole life, and I just want to give back to the community, make it a little bit better. And things are moving in the right direction. We're really happy. We received almost $15 million in a grant the other day, which is great news. We haven't received money for a while. So I guess you can blame Vince Marcotte for me getting into politics.
And Mark, how did it affect you and your ability in your insurance world when you became a counselor? Was there a lot of, I know from my days, it's a heck of a balancing act, because there are certainly requirements of a town councilor, or in my case, city councilor, that it took some time away from my day schedule. Everything couldn't function or happen at nighttime. So there is a true balance between fulfilling your responsibilities as an elected councilor and fulfilling your duties as a business person. Did you find much of an impact there?
My days always started early. I grew up on a farm, and farmers always got up early to start their day, and that hasn't changed. I'm usually up 5:30 and do a little exercise and get to the insurance office. When I became counselor, that didn't change. The first job was always going to the office, and as a counselor, it wasn't as time consuming as it is as mayor. Now, and back then as a counselor, you probably average a couple hours, 3 hours a day, but I could always do that at night. Insurance wasn't affected. If there was meetings we had to have, yes, I was blessed to be self-employed, so I can move my schedule around. Now it's more, okay, I go early in the office today, and the boys, thank God, Matthew and Marshall are doing a great job. I'm there if needed, but for the most part, I'll go half a day there and spend half a day at the office, or the municipal office. And today, for example, it's council day. We have a closed meeting at 4, another one at 5, one at 6. So I'll be there probably 2 o'clock this afternoon and be there till 8:30. So it's time consuming more now, but as a counselor, it was doable.
Good.
What are some big projects for council moving forward, and for town of LaSalle? Anything coming down the pipeline that we should be excited about? Or
Well, the biggest excitement is our jewel on the waterfront. LaSalle,
Yes.
Small Coast waterfront. That is going to be a gem. And with this grant money we received, we will be doing some infrastructure projects. And one of the pumping stations will be in the park area, which is roughly 65 acres. In years to come, when this is complete, we're going to look back and drive through LaSalle. You're not going to drive through like you do now. You're going to stop. You're going to talk to Nick and say, let's go to the waterfront, have something to eat. It'll be magical. It'll be accessible. It'll be interactive. We purchased the first mayor of LaSalle's home, the Benoit Mansion, we call it. We're going to hopefully turn that into a museum. And it's going to be a destination. People say, well, Mark, you have to go to Amherstburg to do this or do that. So we had the War of 1812, but we didn't get Fort Malden. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to make a destination where people will get up in their car and say, let's go. We're going to have many features, possibly a water feature like a splash pad, and we're going to configure the Westport Marina building that was the first building we purchased into a multi-event center. and let your imagination run wild. It's 35,000 square feet. What we can do in there, it'll be a magical spot. And then the outdoors.
Love it.
Go fishing, whatever you want to do. We're going to have many amenities.
You know, I was at the Hideout the other day for lunch, and I happened to be sitting at the table that was against the window that looks right at Westport Marina building and property. And now that some of the areas have been cleaned, there's no boats, there's no travel, it's a massive, massive piece of property that's wide open all the way to the river.
And it was a good start because in the municipal world, you want to buy when you have a willing seller. So when Ron and Marlene put their place up for sale, we talked about it, and Mayor had a council meeting at the time, Ken and Taya, and said, look, he's ready to sell. We should jump on this and work on the waterfront project. And it was unanimous. Because we did studies back in the 90s, and everyone responded resoundingly. They wanted a waterfront destination spot, and we found it.
What are we looking at for a timeline?
Well, we were unsuccessful in getting that grant. If we would have received the $40 million, we could have probably done it in 5 years. Now we're probably thinking a 10-year span. Mm-hmm. You know, we want to make good decisions, but make them in a fiscally responsible manner. We could just go borrow the money all today and say, here we go, raise the taxes. But we haven't raised the taxes in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And because of Nick and Joe, you help us keep the tax base low because development. Mm-hmm. And as more people come in the municipality, just a quick statistic. In the last 5 years, total increase in taxes is roughly 5%. Without growth, the tax rate increase would have been 25%.
Wow.
So that's how important development is to our municipality.
I guess we better keep selling real estate.
Well, you know, and talking about development, of course, because we're involved in so much, you know, everyone talks about this big dig that's going to happen. Maybe you can share with us, how big is the big dig?
It's a good question. And we thought we had that answer.
Okay.
But come to find out, there's water coming in from other municipalities that we weren't aware of the increase in outflow. And that outflow comes into LaSalle. So the big dig is taking a pause right now until we get proper information. And we're getting other IRCA and different, we have a couple municipalities we have to talk with. So until that's finished, we can't make a decision, because when you look at something and say, okay, we're looking at an outflow of whatever, 70 million gallons of water, and all of a sudden it's 70% higher than that, well, that changes things. And we're designing the big dig, if we call it that, because we're in a floodplain or watershed area, so we have to make that accessible. Might be delayed a year or two. We had a meeting on it a week ago yesterday, and it's ongoing. So it's not one of those things that I can say, yes, we're going to do this and move on. It's not. We can't do that. There's other agencies involved. So
it's quite a bit involved. There's quite a bit of research with IRCA. I didn't even realize we were getting water coming down from the other municipalities. I didn't really understand what was happening and where this water was coming from. But that's interesting to hear. I mean, that's a big problem.
You know the city. You can picture the old minivan plant. The water from there comes through LaSalle.
Wow.
And then, of course, everybody knows South Windsor with the Grand Mayor's Drain comes right through Turkey Creek. Mm-hmm. So when they have that flood in South Windsor, everybody said, oh, it's South Windsor. It's not LaSalle. No, the water's coming through LaSalle.
Yeah. And
we have to handle it. And when the water rises, it's not just dig it deeper. Mm-hmm. The water finds its level unless the lake level goes down. So it's we have some interesting issues to deal with.
Interesting. Mark, as we said, there's two sides to Mark's story here, and and we're not talking about your golf career. I had the pleasure of golfing you years ago. I says, damn, this guy's good, and all that. I says, maybe he doesn't work at all, but being a good golfer. But of course, you run a successful family business. But we're being told right now, before we get on to that, let's leave that for the second half, because we're taking a 5-minute break right now.
Yep, we're going to head to a break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So what do you think so far? Do you love us? Want to hug us? Want to send us some money? Yeah, I didn't think so. You're listening to the Nick and Joe Show, and with some guy named Chuck. If you're listening to the show on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Tunein, you can watch and see our beautiful mugs on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, C21Showtime.ca. We hope you're having fun. We know we are. This is the Nick and Joe Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Nick and Joe Show. We are live in the Showtime podcast studio in LaSalle. Today's sponsor for our show is Guaranteed Electric, Tony Monteleone. Give him a call for all of your electrical needs. All right, Dad, so we're sitting here with Mr. Bondy, Mayor Bondy in LaSalle, and Charlie Hotham from Hotham Building Material. So let's kick off the first question. Go ahead, Dad.
And as we left off, Mark, you're known as Mayor Mark Bondy, but of course you have a successful family business, Bondy Insurance, and I Googled you. Yesterday, and I can't believe, this was started in 1963 by your dad?
Yes.
Wow, what a story. Share a little about it.
Well, my dad was a farmer, and in 63, prior to that, he was selling life insurance, the Provianda Canada. And a guy by the name of Wilfred Bondy in Woodsley called my dad, his widow, because he had passed, and said, "Why don't you buy this?" He said, no, I'm good. And after 3 times, he said, okay. So back then, it was different because when you sold insurance, right now you buy a homeowner's package, and it covers your house, your contents, and they were selling policies. One was for fire, one was for wind, one was for liability, so it was complicated. But anyway, he took off, and he was a farmer. He dealt mainly with farmers, and the business grew. In 81, my brother, who was working there, asked me to come in and help. And I had a business as a courier service, so I said, yeah, I'll go during the day and drive at night. And I did that and kind of went, I like this. It's people-orientated. I love people. And I asked my dad, I said, can I work full-time and quit the courier business? He said, yes, but you're not getting a raise. Okay, he wanted to make sure I did it for the right
Listen
reason.
to this, okay?
And he kept me hungry. And then I'm trying to think of the year. I think it was 88. I called my brother, who had a business degree, Rosaire. He was working at Chrysler. He had started a West Side Boutique Bowl with a couple of buddies. And I said, why don't you sell that business, leave Chrysler? I said, you come work with me. We'll be partners. He's very business oriented. I said, I'll do the selling. You just take care of the business. And he decided in 93 to retire. So I bought him out, and then with some luck, Matthew, my son, the oldest, and Marshall started working with us. And just last November, we officially sold the business to the 2 boys, and they're doing a great job. Proud of them. It's nice to see. And I told him, I said, the difference between this business and any other business you might have is your name's on the building. You have to answer the people. And my dad was very simple when I grew up. He said, don't lie, don't cheat, and don't steal. I think those are pretty good morals to live on.
Love it. And, Charlie also has a family business, and today's children, the same thing. And, of course, I'm hoping to pass on my torch here. So maybe the 3 of us will have a little more time playing golf.
Well, you can read a lot of stories, a lot of articles out there, and the transition of family businesses often fail. And, we work hard at it every day, and it does offer lots of trials and tribulations on trying to bring in your children into the business or other family members. But we know we have a good thing. We enjoy our customer base. We're dedicated to that customer base, and we have to make it work. I can't be there forever. I'm trying to slowly take a bit of a back seat and give some responsibilities to others, including my kids. But it's tough to let the reins go as well. And then you got to make sure that the people are accepting them are ready for that challenge, and making sure that they can keep the steady faith of what we've successfully put together as Hotham Building Materials. So small family businesses are difficult. It's transition's tough, very tough.
I agree.
But your families, you'll do fine. I know your sons, Charlie and Joe. Nick's doing a great job, and I know you have other family members. You do it for the right reason, and it comes out. When you do it from your heart and you care about what you do, Charlie, you love construction. Nick and Joe, you love real estate, you love people. There's no reason why you shouldn't continue. So good luck with both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As we said, Mayor Mark Bondy, we thank you kindly for participating in our podcast. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I'll say that, like I said, to being a resident of the town of LaSalle, and proud to be part of that. And keep up the great work. I love the vision. I love the leadership, and anything we can do on our behalf. We're here as a LaSalle franchise realtor to say we're proud as a real estate company to make this and call it our home. Thank you kindly again. And Charlie?
Mark, I just, before we exit, I just wanted to say, because I've been in your shoes before, and I commend you. And I'm not a LaSalle resident, but I certainly thank you for putting yourself out there. It's never an easy chore to put yourself in vulnerable positions, and family as well, and run for town council, because when you do it and you make the commitment, somebody has to lose at the end of the day. And from my experience, unfortunately, probably part of my family paid the price for me putting myself out there. But my dad always taught me when I was young, don't sit back and bitch. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. Mm-hmm. If you're not happy with something and you don't like something, step up and attempt to make a difference. And I commend people that do that. And Mark, I congratulate you. You've had great success from being a town councilor to deputy mayor, and now certainly in the mayor's chair. So I say thank you and congratulate you on a job well done. And it's an exciting town. LaSalle has got so much going for it. And they got a lot of things coming up that are going to make it even that much greater and that much more of a destination place for residents and for visitors. And to that, I say congratulations to you and your team at Town Council.
Well, thank you, Charlie. And I'm sure with Joe and Nick, they can find you a nice home in LaSalle that you can
I just want to correct Charlie. He says he's not a resident of LaSalle. Can we have a surcharge? Because he's at my place 3 times a week. So.
It is. It's called Zambuca.
Well, Joe, I'm sure you can find him a nice place. And you said in your ending comments, is there anything we can do? Just keep selling, doing what you're doing.
Great.
LaSalle's a great place, and we have great realtors like yourselves and others that people are coming here, and it should be easy because you just have to find them a place that they can buy.
That's right.
We'll keep those developments going and keep on pumping
it's
out new
It's
products.
a win-win situation.
So, yeah.
Mayor Bondy, thank you. Have a wonderful day and a great week, and maybe we'll see you on the golf course.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Nick and Joe Show. We'll catch you next time on our next podcast. Enjoy your day.
If you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at joe@c21showtime.ca.